Hello, welcome back to Logic Lab, a channel where I teach puzzle solving one deduction at a time. As I work through this Sudoku grid, I'll explain my entire thought process, and by the end of the solve, you'll have a clearer understanding of how to read Sudoku structure, spot hidden interactions, and break open even the trickiest of puzzles. Let's dive in. Okay, welcome back. This is I Will Follow You into the Dark by Pwinn. Rhymes with Quinn. Normal Sudoku rules apply, that is, place the digits 1 to 9, once each in every row, every column, and every 3 by 3 box. There is a single gray palindrome line on which digits and equal number of cells from the center of the line are the same. So we have to deduce where the palindrome line goes. This grid is covered in fog. Placing correct digits will reveal fog cells. Cage is marked with a dashed line. Digits summed to the small number in the top left corner of the cage. Cells separated by a white dot contain consecutive digits. Cells separated by a black dot are in a 1 to 2 ratio. Not all possible dots are given. Correct digits reveal the cells surrounding them up to 8. The way to play is to click the link under the video. Now it's my turn. Let's do it. Okay, so the first thing I'll notice, there's one palindrome line, and it is this line here. We don't really know where it goes. We don't really know where it goes, but we do know that it ends here. So I can say this cell is the same as this cell, since the palindrome reads the same forwards and backwards. Now, a run of 3 cells on black dots must contain a 2 and it must contain a 4. This is because if we think of 3 different digits that are in a 1 to 2 ratio, we could think of 1, 2, 4, and 2, 4, and 8. So this must contain a 2 and it must contain a 4. Now, this cell is the same as this cell. Now, can it be a 2? The answer is, hopefully you figured out, no. Because if it is a 2, I'm not going to write in digits because that might clear fog unnecessarily, or unintentionally, I should say. We don't want to do that. We want to try to be honest and, logical with our steps. So if this is a 2, this must be a 1. Then if you have a 1 in the middle, you'd have to have 2 on either side of it, because 2 is the only digit that is a double 1. But you can't obviously repeat 2 2s in the same row. So this is unable to be a 2. And again, similar thing, if this is a 4, there's an issue because this would have to be a 5 or a 3. You can't put a 5 and a 3 on a 3-cell black dot section. So therefore, this must be a 2-4 pair. And this cell could be a 1. And it actually can't be an 8. This can't go 2, 4, 8 because that means this is an 8. And it's not consecutive with 2 or 4. So this must be a 1. Which reveals some stuff. This is a 2. It's a 4. So this is a 1 since it's on the palindrome, which we don't know how it gets to this point. This is a 3. And very beautifully, it reveals these 3 cages. This is the second digit on the palindrome, so it must be the second digit on the palindrome coming from the other way. So that is a 4. This is either a 2 or an 8 to be double or half of 4. And we have some pretty high numbers. So these 3 cells, a 3-cell 23 cage, the only way you can make it work is with the 6, 8, and a 9. 6 plus 8 plus 9 is 23. So that's what it has to be. And these are consecutive since it's separated by a white dot. So you can't have a 6 in there. It has to be 8 and 9. And this must be a 6, which will reveal some more stuff here. This 6 is a 3rd cell along the palindrome, so now this is a 6. And this is a 5 or a 7. If this is a 2, this 26 cage is restricted. 8 you'd have to make two cells sum to 18. These two cells would have to sum to 18, which is impossible. The highest you could make it is 9 and 8, which is 17. So with this being a 2, it would just break the puzzle. So that means this is an 8. These two are consecutive. Now, where do you put a 2? Here, well, it also can't go in the 22 cage. So just by Sudoku and cage logic in the box, the 2 must go here. Since the 2 goes on this white dot, it's accompanied by a digit consecutive with it, which is not a 1. Therefore, it's 2, 3. Oh, and look, we can't put a 3 there. That's a 2, and that's a 3. We get a 3 in the corner, and a beautiful snowflake animation arises. Now we have to put a 2 in one of two positions, or a 5 or a 7. And we've discussed that the 2 cannot go there. So this is a 2. Whoops, that was brain fart. Wrong. Wrong. 5, 7, 9. You can't put a 5 here because it would be 14 and 5 is 19. Oh, you can't. You can. If you made this a 5, this would have to be 7 because 6, 7, 8 is 21 and 5 is 26. And if you made this a 7, you'd have to make this a 5. If you made it a 9, you'd have to make this a 3, which I guess is possible for the time being. Now, what's interesting, this 22 cage, let's think about what it could be. Okay, if it didn't have a 9 in it, it would have to be 876, which is too small. That's 21. So this must have a 9. We don't know where it is. But we know that a 3-cell 22 cage must have a 9, which kicks out a 9 from this cell, which forces the 9 in the box, 3, to go there. So this is a 5-7 pair. Now this is not a 3 anymore. This is a 5-7 pair. Puzzle's going great so far. We can also think about the 21 cage in a second, or I can go to this. I can do that. So you obviously can't put a 1 in the 22 cage with the 9. You're not going to have enough of the sum. So the 1 is in one of two positions. If you put a 7, you'd have to make this 7 and 9, which is 16, 16, and 6. It'd give you 22, but you can't include a 6. It would repeat. So this, out of nowhere, is a 1-7 pair, which is quite neat. Also, by Sudoku, now the 9 must go there, which forces an 8 here. Gives us some more, a little bit more information. Now this is a 5, 8. We can check it. 9 and 8 is 17, 17 and 5 is 22, so that's perfect. That means that this is a 7. So this is a 5. That now is not a 7 anymore, so it is a 5. This must be a 1. That must be a 7. Getting some more information. This cell by Sudoku could be a 1. It could be a 5, and it could be a 9. But this cell, remember, translates to this palindrome right before the 6. So it must go there. So it is a 1, 5, or a 9, but now it's not a 1 and a 5. So therefore it's a 9. We get some more information. So we have a 1 and a 5 pair. This can't be 5 because it translates to the palindrome down here, which would break the puzzle. So we get a 1, and we get a 1 there, and we get a 5 here. Why not? Let's do the same thing. By Sudoku, these are a 3, 7, 8. So that means that this cell is a 3, 7, or 8. And it is not a 3. Now we can take a look at this 21 cage. Now there are only a handful of ways to make the 21 cage work. We do know that this 21 cage must not contain a 9. Now you may say, oh, well, okay, by Sudoku there's no 9 here, okay, but what about, why can't there be 9s here? Well, I noticed that if you put a 9 here, you also have to put an 8, because this white dot means this domino is consecutive. That would break Sudoku, because you can't repeat the 8s. Also, 9 and 8 are 17, which would put a 4 there to make this 21, and that would break the 4. So there is no 9 in the 21 cage, which means it must be 8, 7, 6. And again, there's no 8 here, so that is an 8. This is now 6, 7. 6, 7. So that's a 6, that's a 7. This is now a 7. Now this is a 7 by palindrome, knocking out 7s from those two spots. There is a 4 on here by Sudoku. So now there must be a 4 and a 3. We actually do know the order. This cannot be a 3 because this can't be a 6 due to this. So that is 4. This is 3. These cells are a 2 and a 6. This is double or half 4. It is half because of the 8, so these are correctly in a 1-to-2 ratio, giving me a little bit more information about how the palindrome is shaping out. Very cool, this puzzle. Might as well do this. We need a 2, 4, and a 6, and an 8. Who do we appreciate? 2, 4, 6, 8. All right, so the 4 is here. We can look at the 9s. Where do we put a 9 in this row? Well, obviously it's in 1 and 3 positions, it's not here. Can it go there? The answer is no, because this 6 cage extends out like this, and you can't put a 9 in the 6 cage, obviously. It's too big, so this must be a 9, which corresponds to this cell on the palindrome. Now the only thing left to do is place a 1 in this column 8. This 2-cell 6 cage is not a 1, 5, so it is a 2, 4, which in fact can be reduced, knocking out 2, 4 from there, so that is a 6. This cell corresponds to that cell. Might as well try to figure that out. We need a 4, a 6, and an 8. 4, 6, 8. So this cell can be a 4, 6, or an 8, but it actually can't be a 4 or an 8. So therefore it is a 6, which puts a 6 there. Makes this a 2, makes that a 6. It's going to reveal a tad bit of this bottom left foggage. Now we need a 3, a 5, and a 7. 3, 5, 7 by Sudoku in this box 9. This cell corresponds to this cell on the palindrome, and it can't be a 5 or 7, so it must be a 3. So we are etching in closer to discovering the bottom left nature of the puzzle. Okay. Let's continue. There is a 7 here by Sudoku. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This must be a 5. We need a 1, which must go there by Sudoku. We need an 8, which has to go there. This must be a 3. That must be an 8. This is consecutive with the 8. It's either a 7 or 9, and it's not a 7, because if it's a 7, obviously this is a 3, which would break the puzzle. So this must be a 9, which means this is a 9 by palindrome. So now this is a 1, This is a fantastic puzzle. I have to say, it's very, very approachable and a real joy to solve. Sometimes Fog of Wars can be a little tricky to get into, but a puzzle like this, which has such a logical path forward to the solution, it's really fun. Like, sure, it's a little bit easier than the ones I've done previously on the channel, but I really like it because it makes you feel really good when you're able to do a puzzle that has a nice logical continuation without any spots of too much difficulty. Maximum, almost maximum satisfaction here. Okay, so here's a 9. Here is a 2. Here is a 5, which gets the 8 and the 5 sorted out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 7 to place here. We'll just write those in. We need a 2, a 4, and an 8. Okay. Sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. So this is a 4. That is a 6. This is double or half. It is double 4 because of the 2 right here. This is consecutive with 8. It's not 9, so it is 7. This gives you the 5, gives you the 7, gives you the 5 here, it gives you the 7. And this is going to disambiguate the entirety of the puzzle. This is an 8. We need 3, a 1, so that's a 2. And this is a 2 by palindrome. This is a 3 now. This is a 5. And this is a 6. And that is going to do the puzzle finish in 18 minutes and 19 seconds. Already 128 people have solved it in just 6 days. And just for giggles, if you color the palindrome line and the cage shells, let me know in the comments what this looks like. My guess is it's an apple. That's the first thing that popped out to me when I saw the nature of the cages and the palindrome, is this could potentially be an apple. It could be a heart. That's less likely. The way that the cages are suggests is probably some type of fruit. But let me know in the comments what type of shape this is. And if you enjoyed it, leave a like, support in any way you can. I had a great time doing this Fog of War puzzle. That's it for today. I'll see you in the next one. Have a good one.